In his book, The Principles of Psychology, William James makes the radical move to say that consciousness isn't always linear or logical. On a daily basis, we are all immersed in what he calls the stream of thought.
For James, thought has kind of an uneven rhythm, that it will sort of move quickly and abruptly and kind of in not quite clear ways across a bunch of associations, and then sort of stop for a moment and reach a conclusion, and then start up again and rush to another conclusion.
Mitchell Breitwieser is an English professor at UC Berkeley.
He likened the pacing of the stream of consciousness to a bird flying from limb to limb, sort of perching and flying, and that attention to the kind of feel of that part of our thinking that we're always doing but aren't always aware of.
Around the turn of the 20th century, novelists became interested in James's idea of the stream of thought. Stephen Arkin is an English professor at San Francisco State University.
These shifts towards a sense of the crucial nature of interiority, the layered sense of what it meant to have consciousness, invited writers to think about what they might do in addressing how to present this on the page.
The Irish prose writer James Joyce was one of them.
Joyce was very, very taken with the idea of representing that flow.
In 1922, Joyce wrote Ulysses, an 800-page novel that takes place in 24 hours as two men, Leopold Bloom and Stephen Dedalus, wander around Dublin. With only a loose plot and no narrator telling us what to think, Joyce turned radically against the traditional novel.
He was convinced that portraying consciousness involved working with a flow or a stream, a sense that there is an interior monologue going on that's very associative, that involves picking up notions that may wander so far afield that it's hard really to know how these things are related, other than as the preoccupation of someone getting through a day.
In Ulysses, the world of the characters rushes at you, the way Dublin smells, tastes, sounds, and feels from moment to moment.
What you get is a very, very different emphasis on what character is. It's less a matter of how characters are situated in a particular physical world, and much more a matter of how characters perceive the world.
In one episode, Leopold Bloom walks into a church and is suddenly bombarded by a stream of associations, remembering bits and pieces of songs. Stephen Arkin gives his best Irish brogue.
Some of that old sacred music is splendid. Mercadante, Seven Last Words, Mozart's 12th Mass, the Gloria in that. Those old popes were keen on music and art and statues and pictures of all kinds. Palestrina, for example, too. They had a gay old time while it lasted. Healthy, too, chanting, regular hours. Still, having eunuchs in their choir, that was coming it a bit thick. What kind of voice is it? Must be curious to hear after their own strong basses. He reminds us that we all seem to walk around with an interior soundtrack.
Again, Mitchell Breitwieser from Berkeley.
One of the things that gets left behind is the idea that we necessarily think in sentences or even in words.
For both Breitwieser and Arkin, this cuts to the heart of philosopher William James's discovery.
There is, for William James, a kind of musicality in terms of motifs come and go and get reprised and so on. And there's a kind of a flowingness.
What does it mean to walk through the world with a constant playing stream of thoughts, of associations, of recollections, some that seem highly specific and some that seem extraordinarily fragmented and vague, all of which amount to this thing we call ourselves?
For Philosophy Talk, I'm Julie Napolin.